in this hour. In a devastating fire that broke out today at the Flourish Stays, a homestay cum restaurant in Malviya Nagar, 21 people have tragically lost their lives. Amongst the deceased are 8 foreign nationals. Authorities say 58 people were rescued from the building and have been shifted to hospitals where they are currently undergoing treatment. Flourish Stays was listed on multiple online booking platforms including Make My Trip and Go Ibibo and was advertised as a convenient accommodation option located just 300 meters from the Max Hospital, Saket. The owners of the property, Deepak Bajaj and Lavkesh Bajaj, are currently absconding. Police have launched a manhunt to trace and apprehend them. As investigations into the cause of the fire and possible lapses continue, multiple police teams have been tasked with locating the hotel owners. Neelam Krishnamoorthy, Upahar fire tragedy victim family, is joining us now live on the broadcast. She lost her children, Unnati and Ujjwal, during that Upahar fire tragedy, of course, in Delhi. Neelam ji, thank you for being with us today on this tragedy that once again Delhi has seen today. Fire tragedy, of course, of immense proportion. Nearly 3 decades after the Upahar tragedy, Delhi has seen these fatal fires occur and reoccur, and today again we've seen one. What do you make of what has happened in Malviya Nagar?
Right. First of all, my heartfelt condolences to the families who've lost their loved ones. And I would say, 3 decades later, I would say that no lessons have been learned after Upahar. We have the same kind of incidents being repeated every now and then. This is not the first incident after Upahar. This must be the 1000th one, or maybe more if you see all over the country. And the basic reason being the same. They compromise on the fire safety norms. There are 3 people whom I would hold responsible. First of all, the owners and the occupiers, then the government agencies, and number 3 are the courts. Owners and occupiers, because they are supposed to comply with all the fire safety norms, they're supposed to follow them in letter and spirit, but they do that to save their money. The authorities have failed because they failed to check, which is their responsibility, which is their duty to ensure that all these public spaces comply with the fire safety measures. And number 3, the courts have failed us because of the reason that when these kind of cases go to the court, they take decades and no strong message has gone to the society, and hence there is no deterrence. I can elaborate on them, but these are the main 3 reasons. So I think what we need right now is public awareness, unfortunately, which is not there. Awareness in the political circle, which is completely failed. None of the political parties would ever have fire safety in the manifesto. Nobody bothers because these are ordinary people who are dying and not somebody in a 5-star hotel. So you can be rest assured, unless something like 26/11 happens, where all the VIPs happen and NIA was brought in within no time, nothing will happen.
Yes.
Fires will continue to happen. Ordinary people will keep on losing their life.
Yes, you lost your children, Unnati and Ujjwal, in that Upahar fire. You've spent years campaigning for accountability. In your view, what are the biggest gaps today which still exist in fire safety enforcement in our country?
See, the basic reason, the rules are there, but unfortunately people don't want to follow them because they want to save money. The authorities, the government authorities, whose responsibility is to ensure that they follow, they are again complicit. They go and issue the NOCs for a price. Every NOC is issued for a price. And this is not the first time it's happening. It also happened in Upahar because fortunately we people found out that the fire official who actually issued the NOC was on a casual leave on a particular day when he issued the NOC. So when the NOCs are issued for a price, how do you expect the owners to even bother to comply with the fire safety measures? Moreover, I've been saying this, that the NOCs, when they are issued, they should be posted online on the Delhi Fire Service website. So anybody can go and check, like an incident like this has happened, and now they're saying maybe this was checked, wasn't checked, maybe the NOC is not issued. Immediately, even the media can just go online and see, all right, when was this place last inspected and who was the person who inspected it last? And thereafter, if it was inspected and everything was in order, then it is the responsibility of the owner and the occupier to maintain it in the same way. Number 3, what is most important is to have a deterrent effect in the society, which is only possible if our courts come down heavily. But unfortunately, in our country, the courts are absolutely accused centric. All the judgments are passed which are favoring the accused. When it comes to cases like this, why can't we have, you know, speedy trials? Why can't we have time bound trial for this? Why can't they say, okay, there's a fire incident, let the trial be over within 2 years and the revision 1 year, and send these people behind bars? Because what the courts have permitted at the moment is, let the trial go on for 20 years, and when by the time the matter reaches the Supreme Court, if at all it reaches there, that is a very rare phenomena. In fact, Upahar fire tragedy is the only case which has reached the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court will say, oh, they've grown too old, please let them go, walk free. Or if at all right, you have money, pay 60 crore to the Delhi government which was complicit in allowing Upahar to run and to make a trauma center. Now that trauma center also doesn't happen. The Delhi government is enjoying the 60 crore rupees which was given to them in 2015. So where is the difference going to come? You tell me. The government authorities are actually being rewarded for being complicit with the owners and occupiers. The owners are allowed to walk free because they've grown old. Who allowed them to grow old? Who gave them the adjournments? I did not ask for an adjournment. I did not allow them the adjournment. So the courts which allowed the adjournment. So I allowed the adjournment. So I feel everything and everyone together is responsible. What we need is a law to deal with such man-made disasters, and it should come down heavily on such people. There should be, specific directions. These cases must be tried within 2 years, and no bail for them. Of course, our Supreme Court would say it's a question of liberty. Please grant them bail. But what about my right to life? What about the victim's right to life? You're talking about their rights to liberty, but what about the right to life of the people who've lost their life? Does anybody really care about the victims in this country? No. Unfortunately, our entire criminal justice system is accused-centric and not victim-centric, which it should be. If things like this happen, we should have the provision of class action suit, which happens abroad in the Western countries, and let these people go bankrupt. Let me see why these people will not follow all the rules and regulations in letter and spirit.
You've often said also, Neelam ji, that there is no deterrence and that governments fail to learn lessons from past disasters. Why do you think official promises made after major fires don't translate into action on ground, don't translate into lasting reforms?
Because you see, whenever there's a fire, you will only find a knee-jerk reaction from the government. And they say, पहली बात, दोषियों को छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा, सबको इनको सख्त से सख्त सजा मिलेगी. Then they'll do inspections, they'll close down the places. And within 15 days, you'll find everything is back to square one. Why? Because by the time the authorities have been bribed once again, and the premises are opened up again for doing business. And of course, when the victims go to the so-called politicians, what happens, sir? आपने कहा था दोषियों को छोड़ा नहीं जाएगा. अरे मैडम, अब तो मैटर कोर्ट में चला गया ना, सब जुडिस है. अब हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते, कुछ कह नहीं सकते. और कोर्ट में हम सब जानते हैं क्या होता है. So that is the reason. I would say this is what has happened after Upahar, and this is what I've seen is continuing to happen, and it will continue till the time we have some major amendments in our law. You have brought in an amendment, you've changed the entire CRPC into BNS and everything. But what about a man-made disaster? What are you going to do about it? Have you bring in a special law to deal with it? अब कुछ करिए. कितने और जब when there's a man-made disaster, कभी कभी 100 लोग मरते हैं, कभी 500 लोग मरते हैं. It's not one life. All I can say is that the entire country is affected by it. There are fires that happen all over the country. And I would like to tell the authorities, fire safety matters because every life matters. Let them do something about fire safety. Let them not just, make a halla, hum ye karenge, wo karenge, aur uska ek hafta, 10 din ke baad, everybody will be quiet. I'll be very honest. Be it the politicians, be it the media, it will become a back burner. It will be forgotten. The only people who will remember are the victims' families who lost their near ones. And they will remember for the rest of their life. But yes, unfortunately, nothing will change in this country.
Okay. Let me quickly, in fact, address I'll address another issue with you, of course, because the fact is, Neelam ji, that many families that are affected by these recent fires are beginning on the same journey that you had undertaken then after Upahar. What advice would you give them about dealing with the investigation, the legal proceedings, and the emotional toll of a long fight for accountability that is now beginning for them?
Actually, I would not like to mislead the people of this country because I have spent 30 long years of my life in the courts with the investigating agencies and facing all the threats that I have to. I would like to tell them very honestly, before you do something, be prepared for a very long battle, if at all you want to do it. If you have the stamina to sustain it, you must have patience and perseverance. Otherwise, it's not possible to fight a legal battle in this country because they frustrate you so much. The moment you go into the courts, they'll frustrate you by just giving adjournments. The adjournments are granted for the asking. The investigating agencies, we were fortunate, we somehow managed, we had a good guidance, we followed it up very completely. We had some good officers who did cooperate. But I don't know, looking at the attitude now, how corporate the investigating agency is going to be. And you have to follow the investigations. You must read each and every document that comes if they share that with you. And be present in the court whenever there is a hearing. Don't miss a single hearing in the court. That's important. Understand what's happening. Do not just go by what your lawyer tells you. Ha, madam, aaj adjourn ho gaya. Find out what happened. Why was it adjourned? And if you're there personally, you understand better rather than leaving it on your lawyers. Like between me and my husband, we've not missed a single hearing in any court. And there are times when we've had 3 to 4 hearings in 3 different courts in a day. Patiala House, High Court, Supreme Court, and then back into Patiala House. But we've attended each and every hearing. So it is not going to be easy. I'll be very honest to them. It's just going to be a very tough task. And moreover, even when they go to the court, even if the Delhi police charges them under, culpable homicide, not amounting to murder, just to, make sure that okay, a strong message is going to the society. But unfortunately, when they go to the courts, the defense lawyers will be citing a hard judgment and say, देखिए, Madam, on Upahar also it was rash and negligent act. 59 people died, Your Lordship, and this is a Supreme Court judgment. So the courts get very influenced because Supreme Court judgments are precedents. So, too bad. You can't go beyond rash and negligent act, even if they are charged under culpable homicide. I've seen it happening. It recently happened. I was reading about what happened in Goa, what happened in, there's a bridge collapse in Gujarat, the same thing. Everywhere they cite Upahar judgment, so SC judgment. And the Supreme Court, yes, very conveniently allowed them to walk free by asking them to pay a fine of rupees 60 crore and, of course, giving it to the Delhi government to bring in a trauma center. And the trauma center is yet to come up. It will never come up, I suppose. They've been rewarded.
Yes. Also, now, what would be your appeal to the Delhi Chief Minister at this juncture?
Well, I never get into politics, but as a citizen, which I've been saying as a mother, I would just tell her that, she should ensure that all these public spaces are safe. Let her take measures like I've been saying, put up all these, fire NOCs on the website. Do something with transparency. Don't let these people, just carry on with the business. I understand her sense of saying, promoting ease of doing business. Ease of doing business at what cost? At the cost of human lives. Maybe you're saying don't have so many inspections so frequently, but at what cost, my dear? That is something she needs to think. I'm sure she also has children. She must understand what it means to lose a child. And these things, and she's in a position when she can actually do something. So she should do something concrete, like ensuring the compliance of fire safety measures in all over Delhi. And let us start with the schools. I believe even the schools are not following the fire safety measures. Cinema halls, of course, that is happening because of the Supreme Court judgment. Shopping malls, hotels, hospitals. Let them become strict about fire safety measures. They should be followed in letter and spirit. Let her just not see the ease of doing business. That's not all that we need. She must ensure that human lives are safe.
Right. And my final question to you, how many more incidents like this? You know, the big question that all of us have been asking today, how many more incidents like this will be needed, Neelamji, to keep happening, especially in Delhi, which is the capital of the country, before we finally learn a lesson and before we actually do something to prevent such incidents from reoccurring?
If you ask me now, earlier I used to say probably we learned some lesson, but now, 30 years later, I'll say no. No lessons will be learned, irrespective of how many fire incidents happen in the national capital region. Nothing. Nothing will happen. We are not going to learn because nobody cares for ordinary people in this country. Absolutely no one. It will be a forgotten incident in the next 1 week. Everybody will forget about it and people will move forward. Only the families will remember, the ones who lost their loved ones. So it's very unfortunate that I'm making this statement today, but it's the truth, and truth must be told.
All right.